Okay, thanks for joining this afternoon, late afternoon. I hope you had a good day during the conference today. So in this session, we are going to speak about Eclipse Che and the latest release that has been done for Che. So we will speak about the new, the noteworthy, and the future plans of Che. We are two for the session. So Mario Loriedo, who is project lead on Eclipse Che, and myself, Stéphane Lemer, who is also a committer on Eclipse Che. We are both working for Red Hat. Mario is architect, and I'm product manager. So Che 7, we announced it in August, and that's probably one of the biggest release that we did for Eclipse Che. And that release is really making Che a Kubernetes native IDE for developer teams. And there's a bunch of reasons for that. And we are going to speak a little bit about why Che 7 is really a Kubernetes IDE and is providing Kubernetes-based developer workspaces and all the capabilities that are making developer teams more efficient. So Kubernetes native developer workspace, that's a big part of the changes that have been introduced inside of Che 7. So now inside of Che, the workspaces are Kubernetes pod, and inside of those pods, everything has been containerized. So the IDE is working, the editor is running inside of a container. All the plugins and all the tools that are used by the editor are also working inside of containers, and you can bring your application runtimes directly inside of your workspaces.
Yeah, just to adding that the other thing that we have and make it Kubernetes native is that when you start your workspace, you open a command line and you have access to the Kubernetes API, so you can also create pods or deployments from within the IDE. So that makes it ideal for developing application that have as a target Kubernetes.
Yeah. So we define a new kind of workspaces where everything that are needed to develop, build code, run, and debug your application is inside of containers. So we also containerize the development tools. So compared to the previous version, that is a big change. In the past, you were able to use containers inside of your developer environments, but you also had to modify your containers in order to inject the tooling which was needed for Che to communicate with the containers. So today we completely change that, and all the tools, they are running independently and they are running in an isolated fashion inside of the pod. So the tools are packaged as containers. So if I'm taking, for example, a tool for Java, it is running in its own container, and you don't have to modify the containers that you are using for your application runtime. So the benefits of doing this is that the tools are bringing their own dependencies, and you don't need to manage the dependencies that are needed for those tools. So there is no installation of those dependencies in the containers. They have their own life cycle, and they are very easy to switch, to upgrade, and to modify inside of your workspace. The packaging as well is much simpler because it's just a container. And it also provides the ability to be scalable because it's running as a container on a container orchestration platform. There is a new editor which is packaged by default. It's based on Eclipse SIA, and this new editor is also requiring no installation because it's running in its own container. It's not really a plain TIA, which means that we have changed few things and extended in few ways in order to fit for the use cases of Che. The benefits of this new editor is that it provides an experience that is very close to VS Code, so that's very nice. People and developers are able to use only the keyboard to code. There is built-in support for language server protocol, debug adapter protocol, and there is compatibility with VS Code extensions. So it's possible to run the VS Code extension inside of Che. Of course, the big difference between a VS Code extension running in VS Code and running inside of Che is the way they are getting packaged. Inside of Che, they are packaged as containers with their own dependencies, while when you are on VS Code, you still have to manage the dependencies. You still have to install Java on your local machine if you want to use Java. In the context of Che, it is just a switch to pull the proper container, which will provide the Java tooling. And within Che, there is also a plugin registry that is predefined with a set of plugins that are available from any kind of deployment. You can deploy the plugin registry with Che, and you can configure the list of plugins that are available. So that's also one of the big new capability that is provided with Che 7. Dev file. Maybe Mario, you want to introduce the dev file?
So we were looking for a way to specify, to describe an easy way, simple way to describe your development environment, and so the result is this dev file that is description in YAML, so it's a YAML format, and it can be for a simple workspace, it can be like 3 or 4 lines. We'll see that. We'll do a short demo for that. And then it can get complicated and long as many plugins, as many runtime or components in general you're adding to the dev file. But let's see the structure of a dev file. So there are fundamentally there are 3 parts in the dev file. So the first part is the project. So and it's where you define your source code repository. That is optional. I mean, if you have your dev file in your GitHub repository already, you don't have to specify the source code repository as well. So and that's the first part. The second part is the components, and the components can be the editor, it can be TIA, or it can be something else. The tools, the tooling, so a container that contains all your development tools like Maven, like the JDK, or for Java, or other tools for other languages. It's something that the user defines. So he can bring his own tooling container inside his workspace. Then there is the build environment and runtime environment. These are like other containers where you can need them or not. If your project is complicated, you may have like one container for building the application and one container for running the application. So these are the extra container, and this is all optional. We'll see the first workspace that will start during the demo will be without any component except the plugins that will provide language support, but we'll see that in a moment. The last part of the dev file are the commands that you want to bring inside your development environment. That will be like a command to build your application, a command to run your application, to debug it, or whatever command you usually do, your team do to when it's is doing the development of the application. So, and that's exactly what is what it provides. So first, so that's at the left, on the right here, there is the YAML format. So as you see, there is the first part that is the projects with the location of the Git repository. Then there is a second part that is components, and you have components of type JPlugin. For example, the Java plugin that brings Java support. And then you start having other components. It can be like a Docker image. We have components of type Docker image or Kubernetes or OpenShift. So you can bring just a Docker image with the URL for the image, or you can bring a Kubernetes YAML, so the manifest of the YAML that can be referenced here. Then you can have as you can define. Usually in a pod, you have a lot of stuff like the environment variables that will be injected inside your container, and you can also have other kind of stuff, like if you want to mount the source code inside your container. So the source code will be the source code that you have cloned here. Then you have volumes for persistency. And then you can set also the limit, the memory limit. Otherwise, we'll set the default one.
So that's a very important point. The dev file allows you to bring your Kubernetes application and to extend and augment it with the tools that you need to edit this Kubernetes application. So that's what we mean by you dev mod your Kubernetes application, is that you can take your Kubernetes application definition and you can just bring the different containers that you need in order to edit directly this application. And because it's running at the same location than where your application is going to run on production, you can actually replicate a production environment very easily and bring that back into the developer environment. So that's very convenient for the developers. So the dev file, it's really the concept that allows to define what is a workspace and how it runs inside of Che and inside of a cloud platform. It really helps the team to manage the consistency because it provides a first-class support for Kubernetes. It's easy to integrate. You can integrate the dev file in any kind of tools, and the developers can create developer environment from this dev file, from this definition of a developer environment from anywhere at any time. It's just calling a URL to get a developer environment. They are simple to share and they are extensible, so someone can customize it for a particular task or can add plugins for a particular need. Che-ctl, Che-ctl, command line tool for Che. So that is also new inside of Che 7. That's a very convenient tool that has been introduced to help administrating Che. So it's a command line tool that you install on your machine, on your laptop, and it will allow you to install, manage, and use Che. And you can manage your Che on any kind of Kubernetes application, Kubernetes distribution, sorry. You can also use Che-ctl to run Che on your local machine if you are doing development on Eclipse Che. and you can manage a remote cluster as well. So you have a set of commands that allows you to start Che, to manage it and to get the logs and proceed some updates as well. It supports two deployment modes, so the single user, which is much convenient for developers who are using Che to build Che, and the multi-user mode, which is the way you are going to deploy Che for your developer teams. And with that, I think it's time for demos.
I'm going to sit down, be more comfortable. So the demo is, so we're gonna actually, so this is we're gonna look at this application. This application is a Node.js application that is a guest book, so you can just add your name, write a message, and it's persisted actually in a MongoDB database. So if let's look at the source code for that. So let's make it a little bit bigger. So if we, so that's so the source code for the application is here. We're gonna look at it when we have opened it in Che, but before looking at that, let's look at the Kubernetes definition of the application. So these are the deployment YAML that are used to deploy the application. And as you see, so we have 3 deployments. So there is a MongoDB deployment, so it will deploy the MongoDB. Then there is a backend and a front-end application. The 2 applications are Node.js application. What we'll do is that, so that's exactly what is deployed now on my local machine. So if we go here, make it a little bigger. I'm running Minikube locally. Let's see if I go to the namespace where the application is deployed, is here, and I do kubectl get deployment. You see I have my 3 deployments here, and I have my 3 services here. So that's just deployed it here. So what the goal will be to inject this application, so all the 3 components inside the Che workspace. We're using exactly the same YAML. So to do that, we need to build a dev file. So to generate a dev file, the easiest way to start with a dev file is to use chectl dev file generate command. So if you do that, the thing that it will do is that it will generate the simplest dev file to start a workspace. And that's the simplest dev file that you can have. It doesn't have much. It's just the name of the workspace, actually. It's chectl generated will be the name. It doesn't have any source code, for example. So since we want to edit this application, we can use, so we get the URL here, and we can say project, and if I do that, I will have a, so chectl dev file. It's
git repo. Okay, so it's a little bit larger, so it's a few, so you see that there are these few new lines here. So now if I start it, I will have the source code that will be cloned inside my workspace if I use this dev file. So what I will do is that I would like to have also the TypeScript support. So that will add me the component, and it's the TypeScript plugin. And I would like also to add a plugin that it's okay. I will. Oh, sorry. There is something that I don't like. Oh. So if I get a wrong parameter, I can have the help here, and it says that so plugin. Okay, it looked like it doesn't like it. So let's just use it without a plugin. And what we'll do is that we'll create a dev file, YAML. And the dev file YAML will actually have just this. And what I can do is that I can manually edit it. And I can just do type plugin alias. I will remove the, I don't need the alias actually. Let me figure out. Okay, so I will add it the YAML plugin as well here. So once I have that, I can use JCTL workspace start dev file equal. And that command actually will do a request to the Chase server API and start the workspace that is defined in this short dev file. So now the workspace is loading. Actually stop the previous workspace that I have here.
So what's happening here is that it creates everything that is inside of the dev file, and it creates the definition of a Kubernetes pod. So it starts to pull all the containers of the workspace. And then on the containers will be pulled, it will start them and get the source code mounted inside of the workspace as well. So depending if you have all the containers already cached, it will take a bit few time. But that's part of the roadmap to increase to make it faster on this part as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so all the containers have been pulled. So now so TIA has been loaded and it will start cloning the project. Project has been cloned, and so now yes, with these few lines here, you have your this development environment, and so we'll open another one with all what we haven't done yet is that we haven't injected the Kubernetes application. So that's because we have used this short dev file. What we're gonna do is we're gonna actually use this little bit more complicated one. That is actually it's used the VS Code, the YAML plugin as well, and the TypeScript support, but it will also have some Kubernetes components that actually are the guestbook, front-end deployment, etc., that are in the Git repository. So I've simply, for all these one, I've simply referenced the YAML that is on the GitHub. For the front end, since it's the one that I would like to edit and to change and debug, what I will do is that instead of, so first of all, we'll mount sources in that particular container that is described in the Kubernetes YAML. And the second thing is that I'm going to override the entry points so that instead of starting the application, it will actually pause, and I will be able to start then the application, to debug it, to stop it, etc. Because if I don't override it, if I try to update the application, the process will be stopped and the container will be killed, and so I won't have it on my workspace anymore. So I need to override the entry point. So let's stop this first workspace, this simple one, and let's restart the other one, that is the one defined with the full YAML. And the other thing that this full YAML has are and we haven't defined it in the small one because we only had the components and project sections. We didn't add the comments section that has been added in the full one that you can see in that file here. Yeah, you can see that you have a component comment section, and the first comment is run frontend, so it runs the frontend application, and what it does is actually an npm install, and then it runs the application like that. And then there is another command for attaching the debugger. So hopefully taking time. Yeah. Oh, okay, it has been loaded here. So the start of this new workspace with all the MongoDB, etc., has been created. So has been started. So what I will do is that so first of all I will look. So we have this workspace view here that shows the containers that I have started here. So I have started the MongoDB first container, the backend, and the front end, right? So what I will do now is that I will run the command to start the application. So I will do task and run front end, and that will run the command npm install, and then we'll start the application. So let's close that. And here, so application has been started. So Che asked me if I want to expose externally that the port of the application, and then if I want to open it. And he asked me that also for the debugging port, but I don't want to expose externally the debugging port, so I'm just closing it. So now you have the application here. We can just use it as we used it before, so it worked. And what we can do now is that we can attach a debugger as well. So that will open the debugging part here, and I will open also the source code to put, so the front-end application source code. I will open the app.js, and I will put a breakpoint, for example, here. So on that's the pass that is done when you add a new message. So as you see, it has stopped here. I can look at the different things, different variables here. So let me just do that. I can look at the local variable, for example, name, that is Mario, and yeah. So that's the usual thing that you have in a debugger. So since we are running out of time, I think that we can stop here and we can continue with the.
Yeah, thank you, Mario, for the demo. And what's very important to keep in mind here is that we have been able to replicate the application as it runs on Kubernetes back into our developer environment. We can run it the same way, we can debug it, and we have all the tools to edit it and do edits of the application. So Che for Enterprise, and I'm going to go very fast on this. You can deploy it on premise. We add abilities to deploy Che in an air-gap environment, so there are capabilities to do that. It's built in with high availability, rollout update, and health check capabilities as well. The installation is provided by an operator, and you can install Che on any kind of distribution of Kubernetes. It's also designed to protect the source code IP, because of course the source code is never landing on the laptop of the developers, so it stays on your private cloud. It makes it easy to collaborate with your team. That's the same capabilities than previously, and integration with the toolchain. Because of the dev file and because of the ability to generate developer environment on demand, you can integrate them very easily in your whole toolchain. So you can integrate with your issue tracker or with your CI and CD tool. With Che 7, we are providing a tools registry. So it allows to provide in-house deployments of tools. So if you are building your own plugins, you can deploy them only for your distribution of Eclipse Che. You can curate the list of plugins that are available, and that's the same for the dev file. We are providing a set of dev files that are available out of the box with Che, and you can configure that. There's white labeling and theming capabilities as well. It's getting easier to administrate and monitor as well. So Che 7 is a big release for Che. As you saw, the whole developer environment has been revamped, and it's from the new editor, it's from the way the developer workspaces are getting built, which are completely Kubernetes based. The capability to get compatibility with VS Code extension, and the dev file to provide developer environment as code. So it's really a codified definition of a developer environment, which can be integrated in your GitOps strategy as well. And with that, we are opening for questions because we are running out of time.